Hello, in my last video we talked about Facebook advertising, and this time I want to talk about Google AdWords. So why would you use Google AdWords? Well, one obvious reason is that when you do a Google search, the results that come up are driven by Google advertising, and so above all the organic links are the adverts, which you'll have seen, typically 3 or 4 adverts at the top. And if your competitor is advertising and you're not, their link will appear above yours, even if you are on the first result on page 1 organically. And so it just is human nature that if the advert matches the criteria for the search terms they've put in, which is the way Google AdWords works, then they're more likely to click on their link than yours. The second reason is that Google knows what the search terms are for your industry. It tracks all the searches that are put into its search engine, and it ranks them according to how popular they are. And there are tools within Google AdWords that you can use to really research the keywords that you're going to use for this campaign that will drive through the maximum traffic to your site based on the popular keywords that people are using for your industry. Obviously, with a campaign, the more specific you are, the more you can narrow down the keywords to those that are popular and that are related to the particular service or product that you're wanting to promote. The third reason that you might use Google AdWords is, it's the same with Facebook, is it's pay-per-click. So you only pay for the clicks that come through to your site. So whereas with a scattergun approach, maybe with a leaflet drop, where you might be reaching people that have no interest in your business, with Google AdWords, if you've set it up correctly, then they will only be people who are interested in your services who will click through. That's not 100% true, but typically if you set up your keywords and your adverts correctly, then the people that have searched for your business or service will be the people who click through to your website. Now let's talk about landing pages, because and again, I mentioned this in my last video. It is really important that you think about where you are driving the traffic to. Often the home page is not the best option. If you're doing a targeted campaign, you really want a landing page that has the calls to action that will drive them through to either making a phone call or filling out a form that is related very specifically to the product or service that you are advertising in your Google AdWords campaign. Now, I appreciate that if you're doing quite a lot of campaigns, you're going to need lots of landing pages, but that is the way the industry is going. It's kind of building a website of lots of landing pages is really the way you need to start thinking. And how do you know whether a landing page is going to be successful or not? Well, there is lots of advice there on building good landing pages, but the simple answer is you really need to do some testing. So you need to trial a few different layouts, some with more content, some with less, some with one kind of offer price, another with a different kind of discount, or all the tricks of sales really, with catchy headlines and succinct content, maybe a video on there. You can decide whether you want them to call you, whether you want them to fill out a form or buy a product off your e-commerce site. But whatever the call to action is, it's got to be clear and minimal content, just enough to cause them to take the action that you want them to take for that campaign. And also, it's good advice to kind of match the content on the landing page to the campaign itself. So there's common ground between what they've clicked on the advert and what's actually on your landing page. If you take the effort to do that, I promise you that you will get better results. So one tip is that when you are creating your campaign, you really want to create a number of different adverts. Because what we do is we'll create a bunch of adverts and we'll run them for a few weeks, and then we'll compare the results of the adverts, and then we'll pause the adverts that aren't doing so well, and then we'll fine-tune the adverts that are doing well, so that over time you'll improve the click-through ratio and reduce the cost per click. And those two factors will improve your campaign over time. So So play around with the headlines and the body copy of the advert, maybe change the offer slightly, even things like capitalization, whether you include an exclamation mark or not, and having a call to action at the end, like call us today, or call for a free no obligation conversation, or these kind of calls to action can really help your advert. But the thing for you to do is to play around with the different adverts and fine tune them until you're getting the maximum for your money. Alongside the adverts, you can add what are called ad extensions, and basically these are either a telephone number or multiple links. And for telephone numbers, really it depends on whether you want them to call you directly from the advert or whether you really want them to read a bit more on your website first. But if it's clear from your advert what your service is and that's enough information for them to call you, then add your telephone number as an ad extension. If the call to action isn't to call you, if you prefer them to fill out a form or buy a product, then don't add your telephone number. And then the second one, multiple links. This is where you can add several links rather than just one link to an individual advert, and this can be quite powerful. We do a Google AdWords campaign for a company that does visas for Australia and New Zealand, and we have one generic advert that has multiple links through to 4 different visa types, which are the 4 most popular visas that people apply for. And that's quite successful because it just means that rather than having to then browse the website and search through perhaps 15 or 20 different visa types, if the one of the 4 is on the links that they're looking at, then they'll click straight through to it, and you've got them then captured in your world and in the right place. So look at using multiple links as a way of really getting people to visit the pages on your site that are most relevant. When you're running a campaign, it's really important that you measure the results. And there's 2 ways of doing this. Well, there's 3 ways actually. There obviously is the results within the Google AdWords console. And there's a whole raft of different things that you can report on. And if you look at the reporting tool within Google AdWords, it might give you a headache to begin with because it is quite complicated, but there are a whole heap of different parameters that you can report on to measure how successful your campaign is. It's all very well though measuring how many clicks you're getting through to your site, but at the end of the day you want to know, has that click actually led to them responding to your calls to action, either calling you or filling out a form or buying a product or service on your website. So if you're not measuring that, then there is a way to do that, and that's called conversion tracking. And Google can give you some code which you'll have to embed on your website, maybe behind the button of your form, for example, where you can actually see the actual completions of your form from people who've clicked on your advert compared to organic traffic. Now, Google Analytics combined with the reporting in Google AdWords, it can be very powerful and helpful to you. So if you've got Google Analytics set up for your site and it's measuring traffic through to your landing page as well as to the other pages on your site, you can compare how much organic traffic is coming to your landing page compared to how much traffic is coming via pay-per-click. And by comparing the 2, you can then make a sensible judgment on, well, I'm getting 30% of my traffic coming from Google AdWords, so this is a worthwhile result, or I'm only getting 5%, so it really isn't worth the money. But obviously the conversion rate is the most important factor. So if you can measure that, so if you're getting 100 clicks in a month through to your site and you're getting 10 sales as a result, then maybe that's worthwhile. But if you're only getting 1 or 2, then maybe it's not so worthwhile. So it's making those kind of important decisions. And obviously the other question we get asked a lot is, how much should I spend on my campaign, and that is a very tricky question to answer, because it depends on your industry and how many of your competitors are using Google AdWords in your industry, and it really depends how much business you want a month. Maybe you only need 1 sale a week, or maybe you need 50 sales a week. So it really does depend how much business you're wanting to generate, how big your budget is. But as I said last time in my Facebook video, really dip your toe in the water with a campaign first. We would never want to waste your money with spending lots of money on Google AdWords to find that it's not leading to good results. So what we suggest is you do a month's trial, maybe with just a budget of 50 to 100 quid, and see how that does. Because it is fairly predictable, if you scale up the budget, that you will get proportionally the extra number of leads. So if you've got 5 leads from 50 quid, then spending 100 quid, it's a good bet that you'll double that. So dip your toe in the water, test the campaign, and see how it runs, and then scale it up. So I hope you found it helpful today. Please do subscribe to the channel, and if you found it helpful, hit the like button and share this with your friends, and I'll speak to you next time. Cheers.